I am Susan Sharpe. I'm the product manager for CloudIQ. I've been with CloudIQ since its inception, since the very first concept days. So today I'll give a little bit of an overview of what CloudIQ is. For those of you who might not be as familiar with it, I'll share with you some of the around the corner futures of what we'll be seeing in CloudIQ. And then the latter half of the session, I'll actually jump into a demonstration and demonstrate some of the concepts that I'll talk about in the initial presentation. So with that, first of all, what is CloudIQ? It's a no-cost, true cloud-native application. We originally designed CloudIQ, as the name would suggest, to be hosted in the cloud. So one of the keys that CloudIQ provides is the machine learning, and I know that's a buzzword, an industry buzzword and term that you hear. I'll actually demonstrate some of the key places where CloudIQ is using that machine learning with our analytics. I'm really excited to show you some of that content. And the whole idea is to provide users an intelligent, comprehensive view of their storage across their environment. CloudIQ was first announced and released 2 years ago at the event called EMC World. We've changed the names of these events over time. First announced with support for Unity. That was at the time the newest mid-range platform. Soon after that, CloudIQ added in support for the SC Compellent series, another mid-range platform that we share the mid-range space with now that we're Dell EMC. And today I can tell you that CloudIQ has recently started what we call an early access program with our VMAX system. That's why I'm here today, to be able to talk about CloudIQ with PowerMax and other VMAX systems. Also, we're working on a similar trajectory with the Extreme IO storage systems as well, again, in a limited access mode. Because this is publicly shared, I can't give exact dates for GA, but stay tuned. That will be, I'll just say, very soon. But wait, there's more. CloudIQ also is working on an early prototype for a mobile app. I'll have some screenshots later on in the presentation to show you what that will look like. And those of you who are going to be at the ball game, I can pass around my iPhone and I can show you more about that. So we're real excited about where CloudIQ started and our path forward and outward with CloudIQ. So when I talk about CloudIQ, I like to start with what are the value props for customers. So, as I said, the name CloudIQ, hosted in the Dell EMC secure cloud, and then the IT, the insights and analytics provided for CloudIQ. Well, so first of all, the fact that it's hosted in the cloud, obviously very easy to access. Once you've set up your storage system and connected the standard secure channel, formerly known as ESRS, but now that we're Dell, we've dropped that E, and so now it's Secure Remote Services. Once you have that connected to your storage systems, we're actually using that stream, that secure channel, to then process that telemetry that's coming in and then be able to run our analytics. So the key point here is, essentially, it's just a matter of setting up your storage system and secure remote services and logging into cloudiq.dellemc.com and supplying support credentials. I'll say you because I'm accustomed to talking directly to storage administrators, so that's sort of the extended you. I hope that's all right with you. I know some of you are direct storage administrators.
You say it runs in the cloud, Susan. Are you talking about VirtuStream or?
It actually does not run on VirtuStream. It does run in the Dell EMC secure cloud, so based in our own Dell EMC IT infrastructure, specifically hosted in Southborough. Some of you who have known EMC for a while know that that's where our IT infrastructure is for previously EMC, now Dell EMC. And then our DR site is in our Durham, North Carolina Center of Excellence. Okay, so that's kind of the main point. Is there's nothing, beyond the storage and the secure remote services, there's nothing specific to set up for CloudIQ. You simply log on, users, and supply their support credentials. So not only is that a benefit in terms of initial time to value, but also ongoing value as well. So with CloudIQ, we have adopted a fully agile methodology. We commit to new content on a monthly basis, but push it as soon as it's available. We don't wait till the end of the month. We want to provide all of that value as immediately as possible to our customers. And so the benefit there, think about your smartphones. The benefit there is you're getting all the newest updates and capabilities without having to do anything yourself in your environment. So customers are really excited about that. And of course, all of this is toward the goal of ensuring the greatest business value for the Dell EMC storage assets, using the predictive analytics, again, that do learn and adjust according to use. And I'm going to give you some examples of some of those capabilities in the demonstration. And the whole idea here is to provide those insights to help inform capacity, growth, and also performance needs going into the future. So these are what I refer to as the customer value props. Then if I had to have an elevator pitch slide, this would be my elevator pitch slide, particularly focusing on the things that make CloudIQ unique from other capabilities that we have at Dell EMC. And also, I don't want to get too competitive here, but I also will draw specific examples of where we believe that we have differentiation even in the marketplace. So one of the key aspects of CloudIQ is the proactive health score. By the way, this is the whole tell them what you're going to tell them. So I'm going to give you an overview here. This is all the content that I will show you in a full-size demo. So I know it's kind of microscopic here. But the whole idea with the proactive health score is to identify potential risks so that then you can reduce those risks. And those, the health score, think of it as the FICO credit score. And so these are designed to be kind of what I like to call universal truths within storage. And I'll give you some examples on the next slide to break that down. But the whole idea here is to understand where there's potential risk, provide remediation so that users are able to benefit from self-service. Another key area is our predictive analytics. So we started with CloudIQ by providing capacity predictions, such as when storage pools were going to run out of space. This is one of, obviously, the leading challenges in storage management, being able to buy just enough storage, but then make sure that you're not hitting DU issues due to running out of capacity. With CloudIQ, we use a learning algorithm to be able to learn from the past time series and then be able to project that based on that knowledge. And the key point that I want to make, and this is where I'm being a little bit competitive and kind of assertive here, but the key point that I want to make is sometimes in some offerings, there's actually just a simple linear regression. You basically take the past historical trend and flip it on the fulcrum of the present and then flip it into the future without that knowledge. So with CloudIQ, the difference there is, let's say there's a big provisioning activity that happens on Monday. And so the projection would be biased, obviously, toward that provisioning. But then if that's it for the week or month or quarter or beyond, those projections will learn that that behavior has since changed and will then adjust those projections into the future. So that's where it's really important to have the analytics that can actually learn from the real usage and adjust accordingly over time. So that's the predictive analytics, again, looking at avoiding problems due to running out of capacity. And then one other aspect is the anomaly detection. So another aspect of machine learning, where we're able to, somewhat similar to what I talked about in terms of learning the capacity usage, but in this case, learning the performance usage. And again, it's itty-bitty, but what we're showing is the gray shaded regions are the normal range of activity. And so that little bitty pink thing that you see sticking up there is where we've detected the anomaly. I like to call this the needle in the haystack detection, because that way it provides this insight for storage administrators to know where do they even start for the troubleshooting that they're doing in their environment. Again, I promise I'll drill into each of these in more depth when I get into the demonstration, but I wanted to provide a quick summary for you just so you're anticipating what we'll see in that demonstration and that you really understand where the capabilities of CloudIQ are and the directions we're going. So, and we like to compare this to, just like instead of waiting till you get sick to go to the doctor, we're all trying to be better about our proactive health and being proactive about our exercise and our doctor's visits. And today, except for me, everybody else seems to have a fitness tracker. So this is an idea that one of our really smart guys came up with, and I think it really encapsulates what we're talking about with CloudIQ. It's really being proactive to ensure optimization of in your storage environment and not wait till there's a problem to then take reactive measures. A little bit more about that proactive health score. These are the different categories that we report that proactive health score in. We separated out the categories because we know that some practitioners may have certain specialty areas. We may have some users whose particular focus is data protection, or other users who are responsible for everything except for data protection. The other thing that I want to comment on is as we bring on new products into CloudIQ, I said earlier that we're a fully agile methodology, and so we bring on Scrum teams from those product teams. So as we are bringing in VMAX content, we're bringing in Scrum teams from the VMAX team. As we bring in I know we're about PowerMax today, but as we bring in Extreme IO content, we're bringing in Scrum teams from the Extreme IO team. And what this does is it preserves the subject matter expertise and ensures that that is being incorporated in what we deliver throughout CloudIQ. For instance, including how we portray the proactive health score. The other thing that I'll point out on this point, I said earlier that we're using the secure remote services pipe. I may refer to it as ESRS every once in a while. I haven't quite adapted to the new term. So we're leveraging that. But then we also want to provide near real-time monitoring. So what we've done is we've modified the collections so that we can bring in subsets of that data on a more frequent basis. So you can see here that the alerts and performance data is coming in every 5 minutes. The capacity and config data is coming in every hour. And then the data collect comes in daily. If any of you had VNXs, you knew these as SP collects. So that's the standard collection as well. So that's the big, complete, all-in collection, but we're also bringing in these subsets on a more frequent basis so that we can provide that near real-time monitoring. The other thing that these subsets allow for is as soon as that data is coming into CloudIQ, we are running the corresponding health check. So for instance, if you, the health check for non-HA connections, we know that almost universally, hosts get properly zoned and HA connected and everything's great. And somewhere down the line, something happens and they're no longer HA. And the only way you find out about it, about the fact that it only has a single path, is when that path goes away. So that's another example of the proactive health. So we are now proactively checking on an hourly basis to see if there's any hosts that have lost their HA connectivity. So that's the kind of proactive health, the kind of fitness tracker that we're looking for or looking to provide with CloudIQ. So questions?
What kind of data is actually prompting the sort of negative feedback? Is it an SNMP trap that says your HA is down because XYZ NIC is down?
Not exactly. What we're doing is we're processing the collection. So let's take the HA host. So we're processing the subset of that all-in daily collect, just the configuration data that's changed. We're picking up on the fact that those paths aren't there, but we're actually running in cloud. What makes CloudIQ cloud native, web native, is that we actually have a special microservice that is processing the data that's coming in and running that health check. So the health checks are all defined by CloudIQ and run in CloudIQ. So they're all native to CloudIQ. That's why I kind of talked about that as being a real differentiator and really unique to CloudIQ. I hope that answered your question. Maybe not.
As well as it can. I'd be curious where those prompts are coming from.
We're actually looking, in that case, we're looking at where the configuration changed. So a given host that the storage system knows about had 2 paths, 45 minutes, or whatever, an hour and a half ago. 30 minutes later, the next configuration file comes in, and there's been a change. And so then we're, by virtue of our processing that data, we're picking up on that change, and we're triggering a CloudIQ health issue. Did I do a better job answering it the second time?
I think it makes more sense.
Okay,
Susan,
great.
when you have data protection there are many layers of data protection. You're talking about the snapshot activity within the storage system, or you're talking about data domain, or you know.
Great question. So today we're talking about what I would define as native replication.
Native replication.
So it would be time finder snapshots, SRDF running on PowerMax, similar running on storage systems. So looks like I answered your question, so I'll leave it at that. The other thing that I'll say is when we were asked to provide this, we were asked to make this like a FICO credit score. Looks like maybe most everybody's US. So anyway, just to clarify, that's the US term. I'm not sure that's international. I don't apply a lot of times internationally for credit, so I wouldn't know. But at any rate, it's intended to be a universal rubric, and in this case for health, because we wanted to make sure that the health checks that we were generating applied universally. So if you take, for instance, what you see there for capacity or performance, we know that some users, let's take performance, some users want to, some users are more conservative than other users about the performance that they want to get out of their resources. Some want to be very conservative because they want to make sure if there's a big spike, they can withstand the spike. Others want to get the best dollar per IOP, and they want to make sure that they're running pretty high so that everything is in pretty full use. Likewise, capacity, in terms of people's tolerance for oversubscription and how close pools are getting to being full. But where you take the combination of those conditions, that's where these health checks, we believe, are universal. So we really look to make sure that the types of health checks that we have here are universally applicable. I think those are the main things I wanted to cover in terms of that.
And so the machine learning aspect of this is you're learning at the customer level, or you're learning at the base level, or?
The machine learning aspect of this that I particularly like to talk about is more from the capacity projections, and then also the anomaly detection.
And again, is it at the domain of that learning, is it at the customer?
It is at the storage system level. So
across the whole field, you're looking at capacity trends and trying to forecast that sort of stuff for a particular customer, but based on what you've seen in the field?
No, it's actually based on, so if a customer has 3 different storage systems, each of those analytics would be relative to what is normal on that store, or what is occurring on that storage system. So it's actually, for that particular item, that's really looking at locally within the individual storage system. And I think when I show you the demonstration, that'll make a little bit more sense.
Okay.
So sorry if that's not.
So just to be sure then, so it's basically the storage system level. So for example, if one of my activities is migrating, I would see a decrease in provisioning on one side with a corresponding increase, and those would be seen as two utterly disassociated events.
That's true. That's exactly right, yeah.
Okay.
And by the way, I should say, well, I guess that still would apply. At this point, the capacity predictions that we're doing today, that we have today in CloudIQ, are at the pool level. We are also looking at bringing that down to a file system level as well.
Okay.
And by the way, I'm going to sprinkle in some futures. I've tried to keep futures explicitly out of the slides, but I will, since you came all the way to Hopkinton, I will sprinkle in some future content as we go. The reason that I wanted to talk about all these capabilities is now I want to give the so what in terms of what CloudIQ is providing for our customers. So first of all, we have over 5,000 arrays connected today. So we have a growth rate now, a run rate of over 100 systems per week, arrays per week. This has definitely ramped up a lot over the course of the year. So we're now at a 500% increase from a year ago. So we're very psyched about that. The more arrays we have connected to CloudIQ, the smarter CloudIQ gets. Gives us more data points per day. Allows us to then incorporate those data points into our health checks. So 5.5 million health checks per day. And so what the outcomes that we're seeing is we have 100 to 300 health issues identified daily in the different categories I talked about. With those health issues being identified, our customers are honor students maintaining an average score of 97. Out of the traditional 100.
When you say 5,000 arrays, it's 5,000 arrays across Unity, SC, and VMAX?
Well, VMAX is not yet included in these numbers yet. Okay. Primarily, and I should say, much of this content was content that we prepared for Dell Technologies World. Primarily, given the timing, since Unity is the main GA product, that's primarily Unity. There's a handful of SC systems because they're just ramping up in terms of the code there. And then VMAX is in a limited access program right now. So that's primarily Unity at this point. Since I'm trying to avoid saying when VMAX is going to be GA, although we can talk about this more at the ballgame tonight, I can talk more about what we anticipate in that time frame.
So the 100 new arrays per week, are they primarily new systems, or?
They are primarily new systems. In some cases, we had customers who had existing arrays, didn't connect them, heard about CloudIQ at Dell Technologies World, and went home and set that up. But primarily, they're new systems. So. All right. So at this point, oh, sorry, I almost forgot the most important. Couple more slides, and then I'll shift into the demonstration. So first of all, I talked about the importance of cloud and the benefit of CloudIQ being based in the cloud. So again, just to kind of talk about the benefit there, that way we can seamlessly add new features in. No software to install. We're built on Pivotal Cloud Foundry, or now Dell IT Cloud Foundry, formerly known as Pivotal. And so this is I'm sure you've heard about Pivotal. I don't need to tell you the importance of that. But CloudIQ is one of the first SaaS products at Dell EMC to be based on that. So it allows us to prove out our own technologies at web scale, which we think is pretty cool. Allows us to leverage modern app development. And then obviously, surrounding all of this, it's very critical.
Susan, can you go back to the prior slide?
Yes.
It said you're performing 5.5 million health checks a day on 5,000 arrays. That's 1,000 health checks per array?
Well, some of them, remember, are running every are running every five minutes. Some of the health checks are running every 5 minutes. Some of the health checks are running every hour. And then some are running once a day.
Okay.
You don't miss a thing, do you? All right. I see we got the ringers right here in the middle. That's good.
Just trying to figure out what you guys got.
Does that make a little bit more sense now that?
Yeah, it's good.
Okay, great. All right. I don't want to go on too fast. Is it okay if I go ahead? Okay. All right. Okay, so the storage analytics foundation that we were talking about, and then the last key, and this is, I think you would expect this, but I feel like I just need to say it. Obviously, we are using a secure multi-tenant portal to make sure the customers see their data and only their data. And we are running continuous vulnerability scans. And I'll pause for a picture, not of me.
Oh, it's okay.
Probably a lot of this content I can actually send out
Don't worry
afterward
about it.
too.
They give us that stuff later.
That's fine. I love your enthusiasm. That's great. So the whole thing that I want to talk about, or kind of summarize here, is I've talked a lot about differentiations with CloudIQ. So just to summarize these key things, the proactive health. I know that there are versions of this in the marketplace, but being able to provide both the per system health score that we just talked about, plus being able to provide the history over time that I'll show you in the demonstration. We also identify storage that is eligible for reclaiming based on, for instance, no I/O, or based on, for instance, storage volumes that have never been attached to a host. So we have a listing of that. That allows you to then optimize your capacity. You can go determine whether or not that storage really is still being used, or if in fact it's kind of abandoned storage that can be reclaimed, so you can optimize your capacity. I talked about the performance anomalies, again, emphasizing it's a learning algorithm over time. And by the way, we provide this, and again, I'll show this to you in the demo, but we provide this from the system level, pool level, all the way down to the object level. And we also provide coordinated views so that you can connect the dots there about the relationships going on. The predictive analytics, using the STL algorithm. So again, it has seasonality incorporated in it so that it's a much more intelligent projection of your capacity usage. And then finally, the root cause investigation using the time-based clustering algorithms to really get at the root cause of issues, and then identify the systems across our connected install base that are vulnerable to those types of issues.
With all of the data that you've been collecting over the years, what are some of the lessons that you've learned, or some surprising results or analysis across customers that you've?
The customers run their non-HA host much more frequently than we would expect. I think that's one of them. Can I think about that and get back to you on that? I think that's kind of a big one. We're really pleased. I mean, overall, we are pleased with the customers maintaining, the health scores, making sure that they're really leveraging that to again be honor students in the environment.
And as a customer using CloudIQ, what are the types of reports that I can build that are sent automatically? Is there like a C-level version that I can send to the CIO, or is it all administrator focused?
Great question. Today, what we have is really more the administrator view. We have intention of providing views for the people above the storage administrator and the people below the storage administrator. There's also an operator view that we've talked to customers about that they'd be interested in as well. where they can, so obviously the C-level summary, we know what we want to provide for that. That hasn't quite gotten up to the backlog high enough. Definitely want to provide that. And then again, the operator view, just for instance, to let operators know when the disk drive is being, somebody's going to come by to replace the disk drives. So we are very interested in expanding to more customized or more, different persona views. Don't have that today, but definitely on our radar.
And are you thinking about integrating that with other tools that you have within the Dell technology?
Like what?
Like, it's already been mentioned, but VMware Realize Operations.
So I'm going to say a verbal on this for the recording, and then let's talk at the ball game a little bit more about what we're planning. I will just say at a high level, we are planning VMware integration. So that didn't quite make the cut for how far into the future I can talk, but I'll talk a lot at the game.
We're actively exploring.
Actively exploring. Is that good enough?
I think that.
I think you had.
Oh, did I?
Don't forget what your question. No, we'll come back to your question in just a second. Yes,
I think one of the things that I find particularly intriguing about anything like this is the capacity for predictive analysis.
Awesome.
If you could tell me ahead of time, not only that I'm going to have a failure, but where that failure is going to be, or, for example, we're moving to vSphere 7.0 and my HBAs are all the firmware revision behind,
Yeah.
and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, good question, or good comment.
I don't know if that's on the roadmap as well or not.
So it's funny you mentioned that. So we I hit really hard the notion that the proactive health score, that we really wanted to make sure it was universal. And we go, I'd be interested in your feedback, probably offline, during the time later. How much we incorporate the operating environment and the firmware version in the health score. The support guides want us to take the health score down to 0 if they're not at the absolute latest version of
That may not
code.
be the best one, though.
But it may not be precisely. Yeah, exactly. That's the point. Is there are a lot of customers who don't always, for any number of reasons, aren't always there. So what we will be providing is a panel, and we're kind of in design stage. Again, I can talk with you more about it offline, but we are looking at providing a way to help users have that knowledge. I'll kind of stop at that point. We know that's really important. We purposely left it out of the health score for the reason I just said, but
fair enough.
Somewhere else we want to put that in.
Another thing that might be interesting is it's like a slider on if I increase my size and capacity by XYZ, how does that affect the rest of my environment?
Yes.
Or decrease for that matter.
Yes.
And what are the ramifications for I/O, for whatever the variables might be. I'm adding 1,000 VMs to my VMware environment. Will that drag?
Will it scale? What else do I need?
Exactly.
Yeah. Yep. I know you're asking me great questions. These have been active discussions that we've had, and stay tuned.
Sorry.
No, don't say sorry at all. It's good to know we're actually on the right track. So.